Okay, we are live. Okay, great. All right, it's 3 o'clock and we're on live, and we don't actually have anybody on just yet, so we'll just wait a few minutes to get some people to come on and send out a couple notifications that we are live. So um, let's see here.
So how is the housing market right now, Linda?
It's been, I mean, during the whole shutdown, I was really super busy actually. Did a lot. I don't, I had a lot of good buyers and so forth. So it was good. It was good. I hear a lot of other agents now are getting busy again, which is awesome. So it is picking up, and we're seeing it's going to be a good market coming up. I know everybody's still super worried about what's going to be happening, with all the unemployment, and yeah, it's gonna be affected, but not everybody's affected. So anyway, well, we got a couple of viewers on here now, so we'll go ahead and just start talking a little bit. So, all right, thank you guys for joining in today. This is Linda Schulte. I'm the broker owner of Schulte Realty here in the Central Florida area. And as you guys know, I bring on different people in our community who can add value to you as a business owner, you as a person, or you as a buyer or seller, to realtors like myself. So I have with me today Cathie Mannion. She's a CPA with AvantiPro out of Longwood. And let me see. Let me tell you what AvantiPro is. AvantiPro, if you don't mind, Cathie, I'm going to go ahead and do this. Is it okay if I tell them who AvantiPro is? And then you
Please
can
do.
elaborate. Okay, AvantiPro, tailored services for the small business owners, individuals, and entrepreneurs. I said it right, thank you. Providing effective tax management, accounting, innovative business, and productivity solutions. That was a lot. So tell us exactly what that means.
Well, we at AvantiPro believe in tax management. Oftentimes we look at tax planning and look at the forward projection, but tax management says, okay, where are we now? What can we do to manage the tax liability? And sometimes the tax liability, it may be wise to shift it into the current year or move it back into future years. So managing it to be the most effective wealth generating engine of your financials. Again, with all of the changes from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act to what's going on with the COVID crisis right now, to all of the tax changes that have happened with COVID, tax management is key for this year. Accounting, it's basic accounting services. We typically use QuickBooks Online as well.
We're on live, and we don't actually have it on just yet, so sorry about that. Go ahead.
Okay. We typically have a number of people with their own systems, but we offer accounting, coaching, as well as helping you to start up your business, making sure that it is effective for you. Our business solutions range from being your sounding block and just advising you and listening to you and guiding you and being one of your trusted advisors on your executive suite, as well as creating a predictive environment. A lot of us entrepreneurs work from our homes, so we have an office that may or may not be the most productive. So my partner, Lisa Bolello, is a certified productivity specialist, and she can arrange your workspace so that you are focusing on your business and not the clutter around you. She also helps you have the right fit people in your environment, be it as an employee, be it as an advisor. We're all wired uniquely, and we need on our team people that are a great fit with us so that as a team we can bring up to the next level. So that's what we do.
Got it. So our reason for one is I wanted to hear about what you did as a company. So it's very interesting. And then the part about you being for small businesses. And tell me if I'm wrong, but there's the PPP, which is the
payroll.
Paycheck.
Or yes,
the paycheck or payroll
program, Paycheck Protection Program. There were multiple things that Congress did to stimulate our economy. One were the stimulus checks. So I'm going to talk about that real quick. Everyone should have gotten their direct deposit, and the first batch of checks went out in the mail on Friday. If you have not gotten your check yet, go out to the irs.gov and select Get My Stimulus Check to find out where it is, because that screen is now not asking for direct deposit information. It's now an information screen. Checks are coming. So if you think you get one and haven't, look into it.
Okay.
That's what Congress did for us as individuals. Second, for small businesses. Large businesses were affected by the COVID. However, they have access to capital markets. If you're a public company, you can do a stock sale. The bond market. I mean, right now, the bond market is a great avenue for governments and larger businesses to be able to issue bonds to raise capital. But most small businesses don't have access to that cash flow. Therefore, the government wanted to provide it to small businesses. The SBA looks at small businesses as those with less than $25 million in income or gross revenue and less than 500 employees. That was the target for these programs. The economic injury disaster loan that was designed for disasters, it's been in effect for years. You hear of it more during the natural disasters. Katrina was the last one that was really big that we heard a lot about, the EIDL loan.
Mm-hmm.
That money is now gone. The SBA is only taking applications for the agricultural industry. So if you have a company in the ag industry, you could apply for an EIDL loan. And
Okay.
go ahead.
That's okay. Good. And when you say agriculture, would that be people that run farms, or are we talking like landscapers?
Landscapers are a service industry. So we're talking about those that have a farm. So the nurseries where the landscapers may get their material would qualify. But the NAIC code that is on the business classification is what the SBA is going to go from. So when you look at what that code is that is on the top of your tax return, that's what's going to tell the SBA whether you are eligible for this. Now, I have heard that a number of companies that applied for that EIDL loan and received that initial $10,000 are now getting the documentation for the approved loan or the non-approved loan. So if you applied for 150,000, you may have gotten 10,000 to begin with. That 140 is now coming into the bank accounts. Those are term loans over, I believe, up to a 30-year period, depending upon how you have structured it with the SBA lender.
And that's for the EIDL loans?
That is for the EIDL loan. If you
okay.
And again, that is a long-term term loan. It's been in effect for a number of years. The application is through the SBA, and then they hand that off to a bank.
Okay. So as far as the PPP goes, you were talking about under 500 employees. What were some of the qualifications for a small business owner to be able to qualify for the PPP loan?
The PPP loan was a new creation just for this season of life. It was created to address the COVID crisis and the COVID crisis only. It was funded in two aspects. The first funding went out really fast, and then the second funding came in. And how they determined was if you had less than 500 employees and you provided all of the documents. And the documentation was provided to the banks, not to the SBA. So this was the first time that you went straight to a bank, and you did not have to have a credit history. You did not have to have your taxes done. You did not have to collateralize it. All of those things, which is very out of the comfort zone for many banking institutions, did not apply for this one. Basically, you completed your application and you provided the actual documents that support that you were a business active as of February 15th, 2020, that you have pay, and that's either payroll that is proven by the quarterly returns, 941s, 940s, a payroll register. You have to show who your employees are and where they live, because this is limited to the U.S. citizens only. You also had to show other information, who the owners were, and you had to certify that you had no access to capital. Now, this is what's been in the news. A number of companies did qualify for this, but when it came to that certification, they had access to other capital. I think Harvard had access to a trust fund, and Ruth's Chris is a public company. Those are the two that hit the news quite a bit. They had access. So when they signed that certification, they were in error. And that's where the SBA went back and said, hey, you no longer qualify. You need to pay it back. And that grace period for those companies to revisit the certifications is now ended, and that money is coming back into the SBA. And as of last night, there's still $140 billion available to small businesses for this loan. So this is still available if you qualify.
So with the Ruth Chris, I know that was all over the news about they accepted it. And then I heard that, oh, they were giving it back. They were giving it back. They were actually told to give it back then.
Told or corrected their mistake. However, that is handled in the back end. I'm not sure.
Okay,
but
gotcha.
They have given the money back to the SBA. The SBA contacted all of those that received more than $2 million and said, hey, are you really a small business? Do you really have no access to the capital? Can you really certify this? Rethink it, and no harm, no foul. It's a mistake. And again, the SBA put this through really fast. Congress and the president said, get the money out. And this was a very quick thing. And when you have something this quick, there's a lot of questions. And this is one of them. So they're now going back and refining what the rules are. So they've allowed the grace period. Otherwise, they will force them to pay it back with interest. And if anyone intentionally made mistakes and committed a criminal act, I believe they will prosecute this.
Okay. Now, there's also been a time, obviously, I'm a sole proprietor. I'm we're realtors. We're normally contract 1099s.
Yes.
So the subject's come up a lot with different people who have their own businesses, a lot of realtors. They say, oh, I don't qualify for it because I'm a 1099 or I'm a sole proprietor. Where does that all fall into a line, especially the sole proprietor side?
Well, a sole proprietor does not pay themselves payroll, so they're not going to have the 941 form. But what they do have is a Schedule C and a Schedule SE. This is what is reported to the IRS on their 1040 package that says, this is how much my self-employment earnings are. This is how much my paycheck is. And that is the figure that the banks go from. So if your business in 2019 had a profit and you paid Social Security and Medicare on that profit on your tax return, then you are eligible for the Paycheck Protection Program. And those are the base numbers. It is a formula that the banks use. They pulled all the documents that you've provided and said, yep, this is how much it is, and submit that to the SBA.
Right. Awesome. Thank you for answering that. Now, another question that's come up from some other folks, I guess, again, they run their own business and they were doing the unemployment, and they didn't think that they could do both the PPP and the unemployment. Do you know if that's true, or is that something that's like case per case? You have to actually look at the details.
Well, they're two different animals, two different government agencies, two different things.
Right.
I am not as familiar with the unemployment piece because that's not my specialty.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm reading the Paycheck Protection Program, if they had a business February 15th and they had profit in 2019, they would qualify, regardless of where they stand right now.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. Now, is it real difficult to get all the documents together to submit? Or what do you suggest somebody who's like, I haven't done this yet, or somebody's been denied for it, or maybe they've only gotten $1,000? Do you suggest that they try to work on getting the paperwork together, submitting it? And is there any money left?
There's definitely money left.
Okay.
If you have already submitted all of the required documents and only received a small portion and you believe you're entitled to more, then I would actually talk to your lender and say, hey, why, when I look at my Schedule C and I see how much I've made and I take that times 2.5, I get this number, but I only received that number. Can you explain why and what the difference is? Obviously, the question is, have you applied for a PPP loan before? Is on there. If you've done it under one entity and you have two entities, well, you need to go apply for the second entity. because this is by entity basis. And that may be one of the hiccups. And what was your third question?
My third question.
Gathering the material, gathering the information. Well, your first key piece is your 2019 tax return. If you've not done it, you need to get it done. So contact your tax preparer, accountant, and work on that to get that done. The other forms, your accountant can help you with that, or you can give me a call, 407-331-7330. The gathering of the documents to apply for the loan is not as intense of asking for forgiveness for the loan. And that's what is coming into play now.
So yeah, that's actually was going to be one of my questions, is about, because I've heard people say, yeah, I got the PPP and they're not paying their employees, or I hear that they don't intend to bring all of the employees back. So what I know, there's the forgiveness piece of it, and how do you qualify to have it forgiven? And then I have another question for you, and I'm going to leave it for the end, but I have to write it down because I know I'm going to forget. All right, go ahead.
The SBA finally dropped the first draft of the forgiveness application on Friday. Now, we're still in the middle of the 8-week period that the Paycheck Protection Program falls. If you received if you received the loan, you have to utilize these funds in an 8-week period for payroll costs, rent, or a mortgage that were in effect in February, or utilities that were in effect in February and being paid in this 8-week period. Now, the 8-week period was modified on Friday to allow for an alternate period. If a company has payroll and maybe they got the cash on Wednesday and the payroll starts on Monday, they can shift and start their period beginning with that payroll period. That will help with some of the reporting. But in essence, if you utilize these funds 75% or more for payroll costs being gross payroll, unemployment, and health insurance or retirement plan contributions for your employees, again, paid by the company and in effect in February, that is your payroll costs. If you spend at least 75% of the funds on those items, then the entire loan can be forgiven, as long as you use it for the purposes I just outlined. If you decide to go and buy a new piece of equipment with this money, that is not going to be forgiven, and it will turn into a 24-month term loan at the end of the loan analysis. So this money was specific to keep the doors open and keep people being employed. Now, the other catch of this forgiveness is you have to have the same amount of full-time equivalent employees and a certain percentage of gross payroll in a year-to-year comparison. So in other words, if you had 10 employees in 2019 during this period, you need to have 10 employees. They don't have to be the same, but you need to have 10. If you don't, then 100% is not going to be forgiven. There will be an adjustment in the amount allowed to be forgiven, and you will have to pay that back. Likewise, if you had a payroll that paid $100,000 and now you're only going to pay out $50,000 because everybody's wages were reduced during this period, then you will have a wage reduction amount affecting that forgiven amount. So the purpose of this was for paycheck protection. Therefore, if you're not utilizing the funds for that purpose, then you're going to have to pay it back.
Okay, so I've got somebody posting some things up here about, I know paycheck protection, the PPP and unemployment are two different areas. So I don't know how much they overlap, because definitely if someone's getting unemployment and we call them back to the job and they refuse to come back because they're going to stay on unemployment, obviously the employers need to report that. Is that the same for the PPP?
Okay. for the PPP, the documentation is everything in writing. So when it comes to the employees that you're calling back, you have to prove in writing that you offered them their job back. And the employee not coming back has to be a written notice. The employee has to give you a written notice of, thank you for asking me to come back, but I'm not going to. And my understanding is since all of that documentation is going in, the employees will be cut off of unemployment. I think I heard that on the news, but again, unemployment is not my bailiwick.
Yeah.
But part of that full-time equivalent support to show that
Mhm.
you have done everything to bring people back is employee lists, letters of offers, letters of resignations, letters of separation agreements. If you use these funds to do separation agreements with higher level employees, you can actually get that forgiven, because again, that's putting money back into the economy.
Okay, gotcha. Well, if nobody knows this or not, but Cathie and I actually used to work together back in the day when I did human resources, and she was, I guess, the business analyst for my division for recruiting. But back in the day, we always knew it's documentation. If you don't, if it wasn't documented, it didn't happen.
That's
And
right.
so I guess that's kind of the point you're trying to make right here. And my friend Maureen is actually making that comment too, is to document it. And and I know back in my days with human resources, when we would call somebody and they were just like ghosting us.
Yes.
So probably, I'm no professional at this, but I would say you just want to document the dates and times you tried to call, the letters you sent. And what's a good timeline to say, okay, I'm using the word ghosting, but they're ignoring me and they're not coming back to work, and
Well,
I need to report that.
Okay. You have your business policies, and you don't want to deviate your policies for this. You want to continue to do it, but you do have a time frame. You need to payroll it. You need to pay these people out. And that's part of managing the funds of the Paycheck Protection Program. And you need to hire the person to do the work. Obviously, if you're going to bring them back, you have the work to do and you have the funds to pay them. So document it and go along with your hiring practices so that you don't hurt it elsewhere.
Oh,
And the
policies and procedures? What are those?
those policies and procedures. And I know a lot of small businesses don't have them. But one of the things that I tell my, okay, if you're going to bring somebody back, is this somebody that you want to keep on board? Or bonuses, in 2019, if you paid bonus checks on business and that business isn't here, so your 2019 payroll has bonus money, how do you pay that out in 2020? Well,
Mm-hmm.
is this somebody that you want to keep on board and help through this season because you want them to stick with you? Or is this someone that you were considering transitioning out and
Mm-hmm.
they're okay to stay, but you don't want to go that extra mile? Okay, document the reasons why. Again, you don't want to cause problems down the road with any EEOC things or any HR things or unemployment, all those things that you guys did that
Mm-hmm.
I know that if you make decisions in one framework, it can bite you off in the other. So
yeah,
document why you're making the decisions, what you're doing with it, and
Mm-hmm.
go from there.
So one of my questions I wanted to ask kind of was already answered, but one of the things that came up is like you want to offer them to come back to work, but they've taken another job. They got scared, and
Mhm.
instead of coming back to the restaurant business, I went and I took a job to become I don't know, somebody in the mortgage field or something like that, and they're gainfully employed. If they don't come back because they took another job, they're not going to get penalized from the PPP, are
No.
they?
No.
And
No.
they don't have to replace these people. So I have 10 people last year, and I need to bring back 10 people, but I only have 7 of those people, and I only really need 7. The other 3 went on their merry way or ignored me. There's no penalty then, correct?
There is a formula. And
Okay.
again, I don't know the exact ratios of what the formula is going to be. The key thing is to do everything in your power to be consistent. But in
Mhm.
that case, it might be worth it to pay back the loan that's not going to be forgiven, because you don't want to have 3 people on payroll that you can't sustain in the long term. Okay. So even if it's not forgiven, it is a 24-month loan at 1%, which is a really good rate. And
Oh,
if
yeah.
you don't bring them back, then you can pay the SBA back in that regard. So
Right.
those are the parts of the managing this money for its purpose, but don't make unwise business decisions. You don't want the rules of the PPP to drive your business decisions.
That's a good point. With AvantiPro, does your company provide guidance on things like human resources or business decisions? Like, do I bring back all 10 of my people or just bring back the 5? Does your organization provide that kind of guidance?
I talk through it with the owner from a business perspective. Why are you bringing them back? What are they going to gain, et cetera? And what will this look like from a financial perspective? From a true HR perspective, no, we at Avanti do not. However, we do have referrals, other people we can refer you to.
Awesome. That's probably something I want to chat with you about, because I do have some people that are always asking. They still come to me for human resources questions, even though I've been out of it for 11 years.
But you know,
Oh my gosh, I just realized I missed my anniversary of being a real estate agent. May 19th was my 9 years. I know. I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, oh, it's the 21st. So yeah. So I was
Senor Tequila's social distancing.
Yeah, I think so. Or we'll do a Zoom. Yeah. And I talk about everything that's been going on with people being out of work or maybe losing their jobs or furloughed. I always talked about this is a great time to reinvent yourself.
Yes.
9 years ago, I lost my job that I had for 11 years, I think. I was working for the company 11 years, all in human resources. And I jumped into real estate and I totally reinvented myself and, started a class. May 9th, I started a real estate class. By May 19th, I had my real estate license and I was rocking and rolling. So, here's the thing. It's, kind of stinks what we're all going through. It's awesome that the government is stepping in and helping us out with certain programs. But, I just encourage people not to rely on the government to support you. Depend on yourself to get out there and get things done, make things happen for you. And, and it's wonderful and fantastic that we have the support from the government, the unemployment, the PPP, all the other organizations that are stepping in to help out. But listen, there are so many people that need this, need. They can't go to work for whatever reason. They may have an illness. They might have children at home. There's so many reasons other than I've been working since I was 16 years old, 14 years old. I need a break. No, we don't need a break. We need to pick ourselves up and go out there and make stuff happen. And this is, I'm very proud of, the United States of America, that we can make a dream come true. Anybody can make a dream come true. All right, I'm going to get off my soapbox about that. But anyway, tell me again, what AvantiPro, tell me what is all the services that you guys provide, starting with your perspective. I know your tax and management.
My perspective, I do the tax management, tax preparation, and manage that side, as well as the accounting for small businesses and business advisory services. My partner, Lisa Bolello, works with entrepreneurs to create productive environment space. She is a productivity consultant, specialized and certified, as well as a Colby certified person, helping people be on the right bus and on the right seat on the right bus. So Avanti really wants to take a small business and maximize everything they have. And that includes the people around them, the space around them, and the financial aspect.
And that sounds wonderful, because I'm always about improving my business and the way I do things. So I'm super excited to get in and start talking with you guys in a little bit more detail and seeing, what kind of value you guys can bring, added value to my business you can bring to me. Because I'm all about innovation. I'm all about doing something different. When this whole COVID thing happened and everybody was doing virtual, doing things by, I was already doing that stuff before. I was already doing open houses on Facebook Live. I just upped my game a little bit and started doing Matterport and doing some additional things. And every day I'm trying to come up with a new and clever idea. And I've got something really cool I'm going to be pulling out. I'm going to work on it this weekend. It's all going to be through this through the streaming service, actually. probably with 3 different cameras running through a house and doing a
Ooh.
Facebook Live. Yeah, it's gonna. I don't.
Oh,
I'm
like
gonna be
like
working.
a virtual home show?
Yes, it's gonna be. We're gonna be. It's gonna
Cool.
require. I'm gonna be because I'm over here controlling this thing. Like if I want to have just, if we want to be like this, or like that. That's a beautiful house in the background. That's one of my sales. If we want to be like this, I'm like this. If we want to be like, well, that one's not working because I don't have a screenshot. But anyway, I can have up to 5 cameras going at the same time but I have to have people running the cameras as well. So I'm very, very excited about that. Maureen said you're very clever. I'm not sure what she means by that. But anyway, so tell us again, how do people find you? Give us your phone number. Where are they going to call in to find you?
AvantiPro, AvantiPro.com, or 407-331-7330.
What was that number again?
407-331-7330.
330. Okay. While I'm off screen, I'm typing away. You don't see me going like this. All right. Well, we've been on here just a little bit over 30 minutes. So again, it doesn't cost anything. If you've got a question, I'm going to speak for you, Cathie, so I apologize. But if you've got a question, give Cathie a call and just check in. It doesn't cost anything to pick up the phone and give her a call. If she feels like she might be able to help you, I mean, do you guys do some consultations, or what do you do?
Yeah, we do what's called a right fit call, because I'm not for everyone, and everyone's not for me. That's life. And so, but a quick question, no problem. We can do a right fit to see if we want to work together more, or just to say hey and and move and recommend them to somewhere else, because there are some businesses that I do not serve. I do not work in the retail industry or in the restaurant industry. So those are examples that I can do business advisory services, but that is not my expertise from a tax perspective. So.
Okay, gotcha. So, but I'm your only realtor, though, right? Just kidding. Oh, she's like, mom's the word.
Yeah, that I'm talking to right now, absolutely. But I love my realtors.
Talk about being clever. Yeah, I know. I've actually sent you a few people, I think. All right. Well, listen, I do appreciate it, you being on here and talking about this. I know that there is a boatload more we could talk about, but the best thing would be if you guys have any questions about the Paycheck Protection Program, or EIDL, or anything tax related. Like, I get a lot of people always ask me a question about, well, if I sell my house, do I have to pay capital gains costs? I'm like, I'm not a CPA, but I do know when that you can call. I know it depends.
It depends.
That's, yes, there's a lot of stuff out there. Everybody's individualized, and that's what we do over at Schulte Realty. We really do customize and individualize and give personal care for each person, depending on what their needs are. So we do try to specialize it as well over here. So if you guys need any information about Cathie, if you have any questions about real estate, Cathie can attest to this. If you have a question and have something you need answered, reach out to me, because if I don't have the answer, Cathie, do I find it?
You find it. You are a bulldog and find it.
I don't know.
Or we're amazed if you can't, but I'm trying to think of a circumstance where you didn't have the answer.
Well, I don't know. Don't ask me a question about COVID, because I have no idea about that. So, yeah, I mean, it's funny, just real quick, is people contact me still to this day to help them either fill a role at their company, or people who are looking for jobs contact me to help get a job. And it's all about networking. And that's kind of what that's me. I've always, before real estate, I was known as a network person. I was always knowing, how can I figure out how I'm not going to get anything from you, but let me see how I can help you. And that's coming from the servant leadership style that I've always had. And so have you, Cathie. And I know you do a lot with certain church groups to help out people building their businesses and giving guidance. So I appreciate that. So, all right, on that note, I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye. And if you guys need to get a hold of Cathie, just reach out to me. And Cathie, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being here. And we'll talk soon. All right.
All
All
right.
right. Bye, everybody.